Hello and welcome to today's edition of Mermaid Tears. Today we are going to be looking at shining your sea glass to get rid of the frosted look here. I don't shine mine or polish mine generally just because I really enjoy this frosted look on it, but occasionally people want to, either for jewelry purposes they prefer to have it a little bit shiny, or maybe for taking photographs they want to have it a little bit brighter and to pop a little bit more. If I'm doing photographs I usually just wet mine because it gives it that same kind of polished feel to it. If you are polishing yours, you do need to make sure that you say it has been polished when you're selling it, just so people know that it's been treated. Even though it is still natural, genuine sea glass, you have added an element that wasn't in fact originally in the sea. So I'm going to look at a few different ways that you can do it. One of the most common ways that people talk about is using a baby oil. So what you want to do is just take a piece of paper towel or a cloth, and you want to just add a little bit of the baby oil right to the center of the cloth there. And you're going to just take your piece of sea glass, and you can see already, and then you're just going to polish it up really nicely using the baby oil. And you can see how it's already shined. And then if I want to just wipe some of the excess oil off, I'm going to use the other end of my paper towel just to dry it a little bit, but you can again see that most of the frosting has been removed, and you can just continue treating it like that to maintain the shine on it. One of the other common ways that people talk about shining their sea glass is with coconut oil. So I have my bin of coconut oil here, and again you're just going to put a little bit right on your piece of paper towel, and you're going to rub it on your piece of sea glass. This one's not quite as greasy as the baby oil, so it's a little bit nicer to work with, and it's also natural, which makes it nice to work with. And I find it gives it just kind of a smoother feel than the baby oil does. So this is the baby oil, and this is the baby oil and coconut oil, so you can see just a little bit of the difference in there with the two. And other people like to use essential oils when doing them. If you're going to use any type of oil, especially an essential oil, you want to make sure that you're using a softer one. You don't want it to be too hard because you don't want to interfere with the chemicals. So the three that I have picked today to show you are the lavender, the tea tree, and rose. And again, it's the same process where you're just going to take your essential oil, and you don't need very much of it, so I'm just going to literally add a couple of drops of the rose essential oil. So I'm going to, again, I've got my little bit of rose, and you do not need a lot with the essential oils. And you're going to take your thing and you're just going to polish it, and so there you can see it with the rose oil. And the next one that I'm going to use is my lavender. The lavender and the tea tree are nice because they also act a little bit as a disinfectant. So I'm just going to put literally 2 drops of my lavender, which even that is probably too much. And I'm going to just smooth out my piece of sea glass. And this one here I find just smooths it a little bit better than the rose. If you're going to use a rose, you probably want to use the rose hip versus a pure rose, but I didn't have any. So here it is versus the rose. And then the final one that I'm going to use is the tea tree oil. I'm not a big fan of the tea tree oil smell, but it is a fabulous disinfectant. So if you're worried about any remaining germs on it, and again, I'm literally just going to take 2 drops, and I'm going to very carefully just rub, and you can see how nicely that shines up. So I don't even find the baby oil does as great of a job as some of the other natural oils. Again, I don't use the oils. I prefer to just use water. Something else that I found works quite nicely, ironically, is shoe shine. So it's just this sponge here with a little bit of shoe shine. And all you do is add a drop of water, and you take your piece and you just, shine it up right on there. And I find that does a nice job as well. So you can see that. And it's not quite as long lasting as the other ones, so you don't need to do it as often. I've also seen somebody take it and actually buff the frosting right off. So they just take their buffer and they actually literally buff it off and then smooth it out with the other end. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that, then it's not going to come back at all. But you can certainly see that it does take it off and smooths it out. But again, I'm not sure why you'd want to do that. You can't get it back at all. If you do any polishing with your sea glass and you decide that you don't want it anymore, the best way to get rid of it is just use a little bit of a mild dish soap with some water and an old toothbrush and just gently scrub it, and you will remove any of the excess oil that is on there, returning your sea glass to its original form, which is what I did with this piece here. Obviously, I just dropped some oil on it, but that gives you an idea of how well it removes it. So you can see on this side, it's almost perfectly returned. I hope that you've enjoyed this really quick edition on how to polish your sea glass. If you have any other ideas or questions, comments, or concerns, I look forward to seeing them below, or certainly to hear from you. You can visit my website, which is www.mermaidtears.ca, and I hope that you are having yourself an absolutely fabulous day.